Okay, we are live.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. And Jane, would you like to do roll call? And, oh, go ahead.
Yes, this is for the Wednesday, December 16th, 2020 Parks and Rec Advisory Commission meeting. Pam Weil.
Here from East Lansing, Michigan.
Chuck Overby.
Here from East Lansing.
EJ Buss.
Here from East Lansing.
Merle Heidemann.
Here from East Lansing.
John Novello.
Here from East Lansing.
Alex Smith.
Here from East Lansing.
Adam DeLay.
Here from East Lansing.
Thank you.
All right. Approval of the agenda. Does someone want to move it?
EJ moves approval of the agenda.
Any additions, modifications? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none. All right, approval of the minutes for the November 18th meeting. Someone want to move them?
So approve.
I'll second.
Any comments, additions, corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes as sent, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. That passes. All right. Do we have public comment?
There are no callers in the queue for public comment.
Okay. All right. Business. Natural Resources Trust Fund, Tim.
Okay. I put together a real quick slideshow. There's no bullet point slides, just photo slides, because I figured that the photos or the slides of photos of the various facilities are far more interesting to look at than me. So that's what I've got in the, that's why I've got the slides up there tonight. As all of the commissioners know, we regularly request funds from the Natural Resources Trust Fund and somewhat regularly from the Recreation Passport Program. And every year we talk about what direction we're going to go as we look towards the upcoming year. The next round of funds are required, of grant requests are required to be submitted on the 1st of April. So historically, we come to the commission about this time of year and start talking about what our recommendations are with respect to the Natural Resources Trust Fund and the Recreation Passport Program. This, of course, doesn't include the entire capital projects program because this is not necessarily about tonight the various trails projects that we have with the county trails and park system that will come at a later date. But by way of background, before I talk about the proposed recommendations for 2021, I wanted to talk briefly about current projects. As the commissioners know, we just completed the Patriarch Park Ball Fields project, which was partially funded through the Natural Resources Trust Fund. We dedicated that park this fall. We've completed recently the Bailey Neighborhood Park using Natural Resources Trust Fund parks. And to the extent possible, we did a dedication and then the rains fell, and then the rainstorm came in real quickly. So we have that currently under construction right now and really close to being finished is the work that we did for White Park, and it'd be the White Park Trail Connections trail through the park as well as natural area enhancements. And that park is close to complete and it'll certainly be completed in the spring. I've got in front of you a picture of the Patriarchs Park Pavilion and Restrooms because that is the very next project that we put forward and has been funded by the Natural Resources Trust Fund. This project, in fact, we had a bid opening for just this week a bid opening yesterday to move forward with the construction of the project for both the pavilion and both the sets of restrooms in that particular park. And those of you that have been on the commission for a number of months or years know that this is a real exciting renovation project, complete renovation of both the restrooms, as well as the a complete renovation of the pavilion, including roof replacement and a number of other opportunities, and expanding the footprint in some respects, not the structure, but around the pavilion, in terms of paving some areas so that we can perhaps at some point in the future begin to hold larger events and what have you. If you could go to the next slide, please. The project that we sent information to the commission on, I think just last week or the week before, is the Patriarchs Park Pickleball and Tennis Courts projects, which was submitted in April of 2020, and funds were received, indeed, at least recommended by the Natural Resources Trust Fund Board for the Pickleball and Tennis Court project. Those of you that have been around for a while know that that's just the start in terms of the final approval process. The approval is an appropriation that eventually comes from the state legislature. It's typically a housekeeping item, but by the time they complete their housekeeping, it can be as early as April or May, and sometimes it will lag into August or September, or sometimes even, unfortunately, into November or even December before the state legislature actually finally appropriates the funds. But we're positioned to start moving forward with that particular project. This is obviously demonstrating one of the reasons why we're interested in this project. Clearly, what we were at is a situation where we needed to replace these courts, and this will be a complete replacement project. And the next slide will show you and remind you a little bit more about the scope of the project, expanding the footprint of the court surfaces to include, right now we have 6 pickleball courts on what used to be 2 tennis courts, and we're going to go and put 10 pickleball courts on what used to be 4 tennis courts, and we're going to add a tennis court, and we're going to do other associated improvements to make the project that the community, we believe, will be very pleased about. We will certainly be working with representatives of the community when we look more closely into the final design process. The next slide, please. We also submitted, not through the Natural Resources Trust Fund, but through the Recreation Passport Program, for the renovation and replacement of the Patriarchs Park basketball courts, which are pretty close to adjacent to the tennis courts. The next slide will show you where they're located at. This is the proposed plan to turn the existing courts into 2 basketball courts. We did not receive the grant request through the Recreation Passport Program. We were, I think, just a few points off of getting in the number where we would have been approved for the grant, but partially the reason we didn't get there is because we had points taken away from us because of having success with past Natural Resources Trust Fund projects, as well as Recreation Passport projects. And those numbers get held against you for 9 years, and then after 10 years, those would come back on board. So we believe if we decide to go ahead and move forward with the basketball court replacement and renovation project, that we will look pretty good in terms of getting those funds in 2021. So essentially, that's our recommendation at this point in time as we look forward We'll be looking at other options, perhaps for either recreation passport or natural resources trust funds. But we believe that that's where our efforts should be placed as we move into 2021. As all of you are aware, we've had this conversation over the last 2 or 3 meetings, maybe even 4 meetings, with respect to how do we ensure that we provide more opportunities for equity, access, inclusion, and what have you. And we are still giving very serious consideration to how we're going to move forward with that. And as this project develops over the course of the next couple of months, we will be bringing back some more information with respect to how we believe we can demonstrate that that's going to help us in terms of at least an internal East Lansing type of approach to moving forward with projects. So those are the projects, that's the approach that we're looking at. If you notice, I mentioned the recreation passport project, and that's what we would propose going into 2021. And we believe at this point in time that we should hold off on a Natural Resources Trust Fund grant request in 2021. Wendy Longpre and Jim Jennings on our staff attended the Natural Resources Trust Fund board meeting. There was conversation at the board meeting. Our Patriarch Park project was pulled off the agenda for just a minute, and there was a brief conversation with respect to the Patriarch Park project, and not so much focusing its attention on the scope of the project, but more along the lines of the trust fund believes that they've been putting quite a bit of money into Ingham County, and East Lansing is certainly part of that. And us, along with Ingham County Parks, as well as to some extent Meridian Township, but more us and Ingham County Parks have been quite successful, and they seem to be interested in making sure that funds are moved more completely around the state, and they're kind of looking at our projects. So we're still learning a little bit more about their thought process on that. And in fact, I intend to try to get on an agenda at the Natural Resources Trust Fund Board and talk to them about how our community has benefited quite a bit from the Natural Resources Trust Fund program. So that's where we're at this point in time. Is we believe that that's the direction that we should be going. I wanted to make sure that we shared that, what we're thinking about with the commission. And I also wanted to make sure that the commission was aware that we haven't forgotten about the whole conversation with respect to how we work more closely in this, in the initiatives of equity, inclusion, and access. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners may have with respect to where we're at with Natural Resources Trust Fund.
Other questions? Ron, did you have a question? Chuck?
I do. Tim, how receptive do you think they were to your presentation and to the issues that you were bringing up?
The Natural Resources Trust Fund Board?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have not spoke to the Natural Resources Trust Fund Board yet. What I'm hoping to do is to get on their agenda at some point, which they welcome the opportunity for communities to come in and talk about, their projects. And we've done that before, where we go in and we say, this is how important the Natural Resources Trust Fund has been to the city of East Lansing. And we go through, all the acquisition that we did in the mid to late 90s. And then we talk about all of the development that's happened. We demonstrate to them that perhaps 40% of our entire park system exists today because of the support from the Natural Resources Trust Fund. So they get a better context when we do that. We haven't done that in a while, so it's time to do that again.
I think being sensitive makes sense. And any other, EJ, did you have a comment?
No, thank you.
I've got something. Tim, can you bring up the pickleball image, the pickleball court image that we just showed?
I can't, but Justin can.
Justin, sorry. So it's the overhead, the yeah, right
image,
there.
There you go. Right.
So what we're talking about is the gray area there, and that's the basketball area that's going to get no love.
No
right,
love right now. Right. Yeah.
So that is bumming me out because it really. I plan on getting into pickleball. I got to tell you, I beat every single 7th grader and half of East Lansing in the handed gym at one point, boys and girls, at paddleball. But boy, it's a bummer because I know people that play on those basketball courts, and it feels like the pickleball's winning or something. You know what I mean? It's the optics are unfortunate.
Well, yeah, we went to the Natural Resources Trust Fund for the for the pickleball and tennis courts, and then we went to the Recreation Passport program. But we believe, like I said, that we have a very strong grant request once we get our unpunished. I mean, yeah. We can show you again.
Is there a discussion about maybe some signage that would say, look for basketball court improvements coming in 2022 or something? I don't know. I'm disappointed because I was hoping that we were getting kind of a multiple use developmental corner of Patriarch, and no, it's all pickleball.
Well, we'll still have tennis there too. Yeah. So yes, we haven't given up on that one. That one's where, yeah. And good. we're just going to have to wait. We think. We believe we're still going to be successful. We're just going to have to wait a little bit, unfortunately.
Okay. Any other comments, observations? All right, so we move to recommended changes to guidelines for naming public property update.
Okay. We've been talking about this item for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, maybe even a little bit longer than that. And what you have in your packet is a memorandum that identifies the work that Commissioner Chuck Overby has participated in, and we've worked on together with some input from the commissioners over the past several months. There's also in there a revised, two suggested revisions to the existing policy resolution that talks about public property naming in the city of East Lansing, and proposed instructions to give to an ad hoc committee that's always formed when public park naming or public property naming committee is formed, and to provide those instructions to that particular group to each time it's formed, so that we do a better job, we think, of ensuring that number one, there's more community participation involved in the process. Number two, there's more communication with the community. And number three, it's a little bit more comprehensive with respect to how we, the naming, if someone is selected, maybe there's more folks that need to be involved in the selection process. I don't know if Commissioner Overby wants to speak further to that or not, but I'd be happy to turn the floor over to him to see if he's got anything he'd like to add.
I do have a couple of comments. The previous process felt rather pro forma, and that it really didn't look at issues of who else in the community might be honored with this proposal, and what was the neighborhood view and position on it. And so that was what we were working to do, was to make it more open and inclusive, and frankly, to make it a real process. You can say no. If the proposal comes through and you do not believe that this person merits the honor that's being proposed, you may say no. And we recently did with a committee on the Bailey Park. So I'm really pleased with these with these revisions, and believe that they will make it more inclusive and open and involve the neighborhood, and will in fact enrich the city when we do propose to rename a public property.
In your packet, there is a suggested motion to make a recommendation to City Council if the commission would like to do that.
I had
Someone like-
I did have one question that I noticed when I was looking at the policy resolution. So when you look under there, it talks about striking section 1.4, which says the city will not consider dual naming of public properties. And this is technical, and I don't know if it matters, but then when you continue to look through that policy, it cites that section 2 more times, despite the fact that it'd be stricken out. So it talks about residential subdivision plats. So if you look at section 1.6, it says naming of residential, blah, 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 if the names are in compliance with section 1.4. So I don't know if that's something that would have to be changed. And then later on page 4, section 4.2 says applicants for naming residential subdivision streets are exempt from section 4.1, but must submit an application to the city's planning director for approval under sections 1.4 and 1.6. So I don't know if that's something that would need to be stricken as well, but I have no idea.
That's a good question, and I'm glad you picked up on that, because I missed that. So I'm going to, if it's okay with the commission, we can go back and revisit that. And I think you're right that if those are stricken, then that'll take care of the whole thing. But if it's okay with the commission, we can go back and revisit that.
That sounds good. Table it and we'll bring it back in front of us. I couldn't help but think as I looked through this, fantastic. I love processes, but this to me could be used for memorial benches, for maybe the plaque we talked about for Dr. Green. I mean, it seems like this is gives a nice kind of framework with city input and citizen input for any naming that might come up and any sort of commemorative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it could be real useful.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Adam, thank you for noticing that. I appreciate that. And we will revisit that.
All righty.
Back again, if it's okay with the commission in January.
Great. All right. Do we want to talk about the meeting schedule that was included in the packet? Anything special?
The third Wednesday of every month in January, and it's one of those years where there's no real tricky third Wednesday. It's a pretty straightforward year for the third Wednesday of each month, and historically the commission has not met in August. So if the commission would like to adopt this particular schedule as we look to 2021, you would need a motion to approve the schedule, and then it would be published as such.
Would someone like to move this motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
I will say before we vote that I would really love the city to I was none too pleased by our schedule readjustment, and I understand things come up and maybe we won't even be on Zoom all of next year. That would be nice, but I would really love it if the city had kind of a formal prioritization of the Zoom channel for standing meetings, that sort of thing, because those kind of processes could just save a lot of trouble. All right. All those in favor of moving this forward, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it carries. All right, staff
Can I
communication.
just make a comment on the schedule?
Sure.
Sure. Thanks, Pam. So Justin has us locked in through May.
Okay.
All right. That's as far as he could get us locked in. So if we're on Zoom way into that part and he's waiting for the schedule to open up, and the minute the schedule opens it up, he's going to get us locked in for whatever else we can get in locked in.
Like the big conference room. Yeah. Okay, well, great.
Good work.
Staff communications, Tim?
Okay, so tonight is the last meeting for 3 of our commissioners, okay? And we, Commissioner Novello, Commissioner Heidemann, and Commissioner Buss. So this is, John has notified us that he's intending to leave early. Merle has completed a partial term and 1 full term. And EJ has completed 2 full terms. So with that, we wanted to, first of all, give Commissioner Novello the opportunity to maybe say something if he wants to, but we have a proclamation for Commissioner
Nice.
Novello. And it has not been signed yet by the chair because I didn't get it done. But we'll ask Chair Pam Weil to go ahead and sign this, and we'll get it officially to Commissioner Novello. And I don't know if Commissioner Novello wants to say anything at this point.
Sure, I'd love to actually. So yes, thank you. This is very sweet. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I unfortunately, just because of a situation that I can't really say much more about, I'm going to have to step down, unfortunately, before the end of my term. But that I've really loved being on the commission. I've never done anything in government or even government adjacent, anything. I never sort of imagined that I would even be interested in something like this. And Shanna Draheim is a friend of mine, and when she was on commission, she asked if I'd be interested in this. And I met with Tim, and I really liked Tim. And then I started coming, and it's been a lovely experience. I really want to just thank everyone here for being so welcoming and creative, and for being just invested in parks and in the city. And this is a great city. And so thank you all. And thank you, Tim, Pam, Chuck, EJ, Merle, everybody. You know, it's been great. So I just really appreciate everything. So I guess that's all I have to say, but thank you.
May I make a brief comment? John, I just want to thank you for your help and support and hard work on the commission. You've been a fabulous commissioner. We will miss you. And if your circumstances happen to change and you feel that you can return, please give Tim a call. And I'm sure there'd be a spot waiting for you, John. It's been a pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you, Chuck. And I absolutely will. And just for the record, I may try to see, I was talking to Tim about the possibility of working with the city a little bit, and just in terms of a consultation role or something like that with the inclusion and diversity stuff still. So if there's a possibility of that, I may try to be helpful still in that regard as I can. But yes, if there's a way that I can come back to the commission if things shift, then that would be great. I would totally do that. So thank you all.
So the proclamation has the dates that John served and what have you on there. And thank you, John. We've sincerely appreciated working with you. Merle is next. So there's another proclamation for Merle. So as I indicated, Merle did a partial term followed by a full term, and she's decided not to stay on, but I don't know if you'd like to say anything, Merle.
Well, I have pretty much what John said certainly applies, but 2 things for sure for me is that I learned so much about city government. I learned so much about the Parks and Recs. You know, pretty much I thought I was receiving more than I was giving by being on the commission because I learned so much. And I've been super impressed by the professionalism of, you know, Tim and Jane and Wendy, and plus the people that we saw giving their presentations over the last couple of years. It was just really, really interesting. And I'm just really impressed by how good you guys are. You're just really, really good. And if anything comes up with bicycles, I'm still interested.
Thank you, Carl.
And then finally, EJ. And
Well,
EJ,
here I am.
it's been more than just her service with Parks and Recreation Commission. She's been on a number of commissions, and I think she's still on the Friends of the Seniors. So
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I want to try to get out of that, but that's not easy.
Try to get out, they pull you back in.
I've spent my career in government, so I guess I'm the opposite of John. And I like to be involved in my city, and I am. I've really, really enjoyed this particular assignment. I have the highest regard for the staff, absolutely, and their ability to work with people and get things done. I think we're very lucky in East Lansing. There've been a lot of challenges, and we've met them. I think we can be very proud of what we've accomplished. So I've definitely enjoyed it. It's been a great experience, and you know, parks is an important, very important part of our city, and I think we all feel that, and it's nice to know that we get to play a small role in such a big, important part of our city. So farewell.
Do EJ.
thank you.
Okay. Slim pickings, people. We gotta, all the women's leaving and John, I don't like it.
We'll say there's a guy across the street, my neighbor across the street. I've been talking about this to him for a couple years now.
Well,
We
good.
might have
Yeah.
him sweet talked, so he might contact you, Tim.
Yeah, send out the word, people. This is where the
Yeah.
inclusion happens.
I've twisted arms before, John.
What's that?
I said I've twisted arms before.
Perfect. That's excellent.
Outreach, widen it, people. Come on. It's, yeah.
The other item that I wanted to cover just quickly is Commissioner Adam DeLay and Councilmember Ron Bacon have expressed interest in working closely with Elaine Hardy on this, kind of trying to move forward with this whole concept of the Dr. Green acknowledgement, historical marker, and what have you. So I don't know if there was conversation about getting a meeting started. I don't know if Commissioner DeLay and Councilmember Bacon have had a chance to meet with Elaine or not, but that's, I'm sure, coming up in the near future.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk about it. I think she's been on this probably longer than any of us, even at this point when we begin to talk about it. She has a pretty sweeping group of things that she wants to do for Dr. Green, and some things that would probably come through the school board, come through here, come through a lot of things. And Adam's off to a super good start of it. I think she wants to coordinate it and also coordinate it in a way so he could be present here physically to participate in the unveilings of all these things, potentially some things around public schools and other things as well, kind of in a really big thing. So we're going to meet and try to coordinate and time all this so he can be physically present. But I really appreciate Adam's urgency in moving the ball forward, because we just, like we've talked before, we don't have a lot of time with these icons. But yeah, she's all over it. I'm on it. Adam's on it. And we'll coordinate our efforts to try to time it in a way where he could be present, maybe to unveil and be whatever it is, the park, the home, something with the schools, and working with the new, with 3 new members of the school board to do some things around public schools as well, and coordinate that into maybe a single event is kind of Elaine's vision. I think it's a great idea. So we don't want any single event to cancel out any of the other potential events. So we're going to try to coordinate it, make it into one big celebration of sorts. So that's what happens when you deal with Elaine. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I'm excited to work on it and excited to work with Adam, and just thank you for your efforts so far. to get the ball rolling and being so diligent on this. So,
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate both you and Tim and Elaine and everybody. And, you know, I just had the idea, and then it just kind of, everybody said, okay, well, we'll take it and run with it. The one thing I wanted to share for everybody is when I talked to my neighbor last week, who lives in the home currently, it was a goosebump raising conversation, because she had absolutely no idea of the history of the home. I walked in, I said, can I talk to you? You know, and I said, do you know the historical significance of this home? She says, well, the window in the back, somebody told me, is really unique. And I said, no. And the funny thing is, she went to MSU in the 60s and actually was familiar with Dr. Green, and said, she says, you know, I never had him as a professor, but I heard him speak on campus a few times. So when I told her not only, you know, the history of the home, but who owned it, she was, oh, I know, that's amazing. And before I could even go further, she says, put up a plaque. So I said, well, that's why I'm here. So the synergy and the energy around this from just the small part I've played in it has been awesome, and look forward to seeing it continue to go forward.
perfect.
And on that note, and kind of maybe make it more prescient, Dozier Thornton, Dr. Dozier Thornton died last week, and he was a longtime faculty and a flower pot resident and one of the very early hires at Michigan State from the 50s, 60s. So yeah, they're getting old. We are getting old. Wait a minute. All right. Is that all you've got, Tim, for
That's all I
staff?
have. Thank you, Pam.
Alex, do you have a commissioner comment you'd like to make?
Not this month, thank you.
And Meryl, any last final words?
No, but thanks. It's been great working with you.
Thanks for you and your time here. And I see you in bikes. We'll definitely be in touch. EJ, how are you? And anything to say?
No, thanks for a great time.
We'll miss you.
I'll
Chuck,
miss you. I'll miss you. But
well, I'll still see you, darn it. Chuck, do you have any words?
nope.
Chuck, do you have something?
I don't, thank you.
Adam, anything more from you?
No, that's it. Thank you.
John?
No, just thanks so much, everybody. It's
Yeah,
been
and we're gonna miss you.
really
too.
appreciate. I'm gonna miss you all too. Thanks. I mean, I'll see you around East Lansing, but
What do I have?
someday.
Yes, well, nobody's going very far. I mean, that's the beauty of East Lansing. We'll see you at the Hannah Center. Really pleased with the press releases and the M Parks Award for the All of Us Express. That's really neat. And I assume it was staff who submitted so that's good. That's you guys going above and beyond. I mean, it's great. You guys do such a nice job. And
Thank you for saying that. I forgot, if you don't mind. That was Kathleen Miller who
Oh, yeah.
did the work with respect to that.
Yeah.
So thank you for mentioning that. I should.
That's really that illustrates what an awesome job the staff did of pivoting with COVID and responsive, really excellent. I'm going to send everybody, and this is part of my diversity and inclusion. Let's communicate stuff out and around. And the Arts Commission has some money and they've extended their grant giving time. And I'll send everybody the information on that, and think about sharing with some East Lansing artists and some, let's spread it out. So that's all I've got. Oh, yes, Ron?
Yeah, and if you guys know anyone, as we're planning to seat the income tax review board, so people who are interested in that type of stuff, and frankly, if there's an accountant or someone out there who has income tax experience, that'd be a great member. We don't discriminate against anyone, but that would just be a real cogent piece to the puzzle. So if you guys know anyone would be interested and has interest in local income tax or income tax experience, please send them forward so we can seat them. So that'd be great as we're rolling. This will be our first full year to roll through, and just we need some eyeballs. So
excellent. And that is like reaching out. That is how diversity works on the ground. Invite people. Invite them. encouraging.
Exactly.
I tell you, in the first year of that board having to deal with however many people are gonna have disputes because of where they worked during COVID and how
Yeah.
that is all, they've got a tall task for their very first year, just with how that's gonna work out. So good luck.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. I think it's been really positive. Just I'm not trying to hijack the call, but the income tax has been just a beautiful outcome. But yeah, this is going to be the toughest year, and we need some seasoned, people with accounting backgrounds or even math backgrounds and things like that. This is great. We usually, anyone from the community is welcome to join any boards, but this one's going to need some real specific skill sets, I think. So.
All right. Is that all you have, Ron, Commissioner
That was-
comment wise?
Yeah, that was it. And thank you to the members who are departing. Thank you for doing this and giving your time to this stuff. You don't have to. And, there's a lot of people who don't. And, doing public service and at any level now is I'm just honored to work with you guys, and thank you for taking these roles, because, no one even knows this is going on. They just know there's a new something in the park or something like, they don't know what work's gone into it and all the stuff you guys do. So just thank you. And, and just, it's awesome work. I've just, in the little time of working with you, you guys just deliver and deliver and deliver, probably more than any other commission. So it's awesome. So thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for your work.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Hi, crew.
Good night.
Learning new skills, how to celebrate holidays.
That's right. All right. Anybody want to move a finale?
Don't move.
I move we
All
adjourn.
right.
Second.
We're out.
See you 2021.
Yes.
care.
Hallelujah.
See you next year. Yeah.
2021. Here we go.
In person at some point, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe.
Take care, all.
Hi, guys.
See you. Bye-bye.